Hello, 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 sister. Welcome to the She Is Awesome podcast. This is Ceylan Boyce, your host, and today I am interviewing an amazing woman who blew me away with her infectious energy. So, buckle up because this is what happened during the episode. We started our interview with this guest, and in the middle of it, I had to cut the interview because I was basically ushered out of my pod where I was recording this. And we had to pick it up again on the next morning. So there will be a little moment where you will understand what I'm talking about, but it just brought more spice to the episode. And my guest, to be honest, brought all the positive energy, even at this moment of like, what are we going to do? We cannot record the podcast. So, special thank you to her. Now, let me talk about my guest. Sometimes you meet someone and all of a sudden there is this spark and you're like, oh, I want to be your friend. Well, Ashleigh is one of those people. Ashleigh has over 20 years of experience in marketing and communications, and she co founded with her husband a multi award winning business called Halo Business Consulting in 2019, right before COVID. Now, listen, the thing is, Halo is specialized in hospitality sector, and you will see why. And imagine what happened to Ashleigh and her husband and her family in the first few months of their business. Imagine that. Can you imagine? Yeah, you will hear. You will hear. So, on top of all that, Ashleigh is also a mother of three, which in my eyes made her go above and beyond everybody. And she's now my living and breathing superhero, to be honest. We talked about many things, including co founding a business with your partner and working with your partner and living in a family of three kids, 24/7. It's go, go, go. And we talked about her practices of, that allow them to propel her business because Ashleigh really was able to, with her husband, propel that business. So stay tuned to find, I would say, an oomph of energy mixed with practical key takeaways and a full on honest conversation about life, motherhood, being a, entrepreneur as a woman and a wife at the same time. Hello, Ashleigh. How are you doing? Welcome to the She's Awesome podcast.
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much, Jay. It's fantastic to be here, and thank you for having me on. She is awesome.
I am so happy and excited. Guys, we had so I kind of stalked Ashleigh because she won the Best Business Women Awards in 2023, and I was there and I saw her on the stage. And then I started to stalk her, but it didn't take me too much effort. You were kind enough to say to me, "Hey, what's up?" And we had the first kind of call and we really connected very well, and I'm really happy that she's here on this podcast because one of the reasons is she went through the journey of hell during COVID with her very newly launched business, which she will talk about in a bit, but also because she's leading a business with her husband, and she had the bold move to move out of London. And there are a lot of really interesting stuff in her business, in her journey, that I do believe that it's going to make a lot of you going, oh, that really tells me something. Let me listen to this lady. So, yeah, without further ado, Ashleigh, can you tell us a little bit more about how you end up as an entrepreneur and what was the journey to get you there?
Well, thank you so much for having me here to share my story. And it's so pleased that you stalked me. So thank you. I'm delighted to be here. So my journey to entrepreneurship, I think, was almost a little bit expected. So I became an entrepreneur only in 2019, so fairly recent. But I think looking back, so I have worked in the hospitality industry for over 20 years. I've always had a passion for travel. I'm a real people person, love a chat. And I think really from the age of 13, I had worked in bars, restaurants, waited on tables, and the joy of making people happy through hospitality, the organization and multi-skilling that it took, even just running your tables in a restaurant was always something that I think really propelled me to just kind of deal with the multitasking that is often required of being a working parent and an entrepreneur. So my first taste really of kind of the travel and hospitality sector was I did a summer placement between my first and second year at university, where I was studying hospitality and tourism management. So I was already on a path to sort of forge my career in hospitality at that time. And to be honest, I didn't necessarily want to go back to my hometown. I wanted to kind of, my wings had been opened as I left Newcastle to go to university at Sheffield Hallam. And I had a wonderful opportunity to join Eurocamp as a kind of 3-month placement to improve my French, which I think improved maybe the ability to drink pastiche French liqueurs. But anyway, I had a great experience there, met some people from all around the world, which was just a wonderful window into different cultures and working in a different environment with a language where I was learning French as well. So that was a great experience. And then I thought, well, let's up the ante for my next experience. And as part of our course at uni, we did a work placement, which could be anywhere in the world. And I landed an amazing opportunity to work in Colorado Springs, which hadn't really I didn't know a whole lot about, but I went with this kind of open mind, this sort of naive, 20-something. Off I went into the Rocky Mountains, and I worked for a year at the most incredible hotel. It's one of the prestigious hotels in the world, 5-star, 5-diamond. It had 700 bedrooms, which I was at the reception, and there'd be days where I was, checking in 600 people and 600 people were checking out. But again, from immersing myself in a totally different space, meeting people from all over the world, having that real level of sort of organization and running that as a kind of job, just really, I think, planted a lot of seeds of what I wanted to do in my professional career. So anyway, fast forward, I graduated, was really lucky to have secured a graduate management program with a wonderful hotel group, which is now part of Marriott. It was called Starwood Hotels and Resorts, which is fully integrated into Marriott. And I spent 8 wonderful years with them, really developing my marketing and PR skills. I worked in London. I worked at a lovely resort in Turnberry, which is very well known for its golf. And then I went to work in Thailand for one of their amazing resorts in Phuket, which was just like the best experience. And honestly, I could have stayed there for a lot longer than I did. I was there for about 3-4 years, had the best time. Again, it was, whilst Phuket is certainly sort of well trodden in the tourist trail, actually when you live and work there, my whole team were Thai. So whilst we spoke English, there was all, the chatter in the office was in Thai. So I learned a lot of Thai, and apparently I speak with a Phuketian accent when I'm speaking Thai. And just, I was invited to their weddings, to, inauguration ceremonies at the Buddhist temples. And, I had really immersed myself in the local culture and traditions. And then, just had a great time. And then that sort of period came to a close just with the hotel group that I was working with. Their contracts changed. I spent some time traveling with my sister. We took 18 months off and went traveling, which was incredible. And then it was kind of time for reality to kick in. So I was kind of, just turned 30, and I was a little bit like, maybe I should consider settling down. So came back to London, and it was the Olympic year. It was 2012. London was just buzzing with people from all over the world, and I got a job at the Hilton on Park Lane, which was actually the host hotel for the Olympic Committee, so really in the heart of the action. I had a few wonderful years there. And this is when I reconnected with my husband, who we'd actually met a few years ago. It took 7 years for us to start dating after first meeting each other. So more on that later. But we had a few wonderful years in London. I was really lucky to do the opening of the Shangri-La Hotel in the Shard as director of marketing. And I think that really helped to solidify what it was like to open a hotel as a director of communications and all of the opportunities and challenges that came with that. We then had our first child whilst we were in London, and honestly, it was quickly apparent that the industry at that time, so this was pre-COVID and pre sort of flexibility being kind of a little bit more ingrained in everyone's mindsets, but it was just very challenging for us to continue with our careers in that way once we had a little one. So I changed direction slightly and moved more into a PR agency environment. So I was able to work 4 days a week and work slightly more kind of office hours, which fitted in with the nursery. My husband Michael, he is very much from an operations and guest service background and working in hotels, which is a 24/7 industry. So there was a little bit more flexibility on my side, a little bit of flexibility on his side, but we got to a point where we just said, look, we just can't continue this. And that also coincided with being pregnant with our second child. So I think I just had a moment where I thought, I can't do this anymore. I really felt a pull to be back closer to my family, to have that support network. My husband Michael is from Ireland, and we considered whether we maybe consider going back to Ireland or whether we move to the northeast. And we took the decision to move to the northeast, and so pleased that we did. So we're in a beautiful coastal community now, just outside of Newcastle in Whitley Bay, and we had the most wonderful parental leave with our two children, and really were considering what do we do at this point. Then we were so blissfully happy that along came baby number 3. So in this kind of time of me being on this maternity leave, we found out we were pregnant with our third child. And that really was a catalyst for us to think we need to create something that we can create an income for our family that works around our family. And we have collectively 40 years of experience of working in hospitality, both in operations and guest service, and then in marketing and PR. Surely there's a way that we can work in an industry that we love, which we're not necessarily working specifically for one place. We can use that and support the industry as a whole. So that was the real light bulb moment. And we actually registered our business, Halo Business Consulting, on Michael's 40th birthday. And I'd only given birth 3 weeks later, 3 weeks earlier, apologies. So we were there. I was there with my third baby in a huge whirlwind, up feeding at night, coming up with our branding and how we would launch our website, and what our launch media release would look like, etc. So we took about 6 months during that kind of parental leave bliss to work on our business, as almost raising our fourth baby at that stage. And then we launched Halo in November of 2019, and we'd really taken the time to think about our name, which Halo is obviously the halo impression is something that's known quite widely as that kind of first impression and the power of the first impression. And that's so relative to the hospitality sector and service sector. We've got a very famous landmark here, the Angel of the North, so angels and halos. So it was all felt very connected. So we'd taken time to really kind of establish what our values were and how we could use that experience to really support hospitality businesses with that full guest journey. So looking at everything from that discovery phase of when a guest considers where they'll travel to, where they'll want to spend, their time at a hotel, and right the way through to nurturing that guest to booking. And then when that guest steps through the door, how that service then aligns with that promise that we've created through all of the marketing and communications that's got them there. And then how do we deliver an amazing experience and then ultimately nurture that guest so they become a loyal future guest. So we launched 2019, all singing, all dancing. We had some great media coverage and local press and through the industry. And then we all know what happened in 2020. So it was, a real, I thought, oh my God, well, that's like done, that's 2-3 months of us launching this business. We won some business quite quickly, and we were working on some really lovely projects. Our first project was an integration of a hotel group that had just been acquired, and they needed some marketing strategy and some sort of quick wins. And then we did a lovely rebranding project, and then everything just stopped because hotels stopped. They closed their doors. So it was quite a roller coaster, but thankfully we've come through the other side. I'm pleased to say.
This is an amazing story. So there are so many things that I kind of took a mental note about, and I want to get back to. First of all, I just want to say there is, some people talk about their past and they're like, "Oh, this happened," and at every single part of that journey, you were smiling, even for that is and I think that's a very, very strong entrepreneurial power that you have, because it's the mindset, and you have the ability to talk about something in a very positive way, which I just want to say, yeah, I feel the like positive energy. So let's get back to that Colorado, right? Shall we? Is it one of those hotels where all the like celebrities come and
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was talk about sort of setting the bar high, and I had no experience of what luxury looked like. I mean, um, just had never experienced anything like this amazing place. And I remember telling my parents that I was off to Colorado, and they had to sort of look it up. I mean, this was like even really before the internet, looking it up on a world map, and so is that where it is? Oh my God, it's miles away. But it was such an amazing time. And I remember Elton John being, in the lobby, and he was performing at the convention center, which was just around the corner. Christopher Dean of Torval and Dean actually had a house in the neighbouring area, and he would just nip in for afternoon tea. There was Iron Maiden, all sorts of bands, and Joan Rivers, I remember, was there. There was just it was just the ultimate luxurious experience. And what was wonderful was they really encouraged your family to come and experience that when they visited you. So when my family arrived from Newcastle, fresh off the plane, not been to America before, they were greeted, by these, top to tail, doormen that welcomed them in, and in this palatial environment. And it was stunning. It was really in the foothills of the Rockies, a beautiful infinity pool that looked out over this lake. And we had never experienced anything like it. And they ushered my family off to this incredible suite. And they were like, is this for us, this whole space? Are we not sharing this with another like few families? But what was quite funny, my dad dines out on this story, is there was a newsreader who presented on our local news at the time, and he was actually staying in one of the neighbouring suites. And when my dad was walking around the lake, in his best Geordie accent, said to the newsreader something along the lines of, "Well, you're a long way from home, bonny lad." And this newsreader sort of turned around and did not expect someone from Newcastle to be sort of there. And, oh my gosh. So they had this lovely exchange. And, amazing that they were there. So it was something, I think, that really planted the seed. But I have to say, in every role since that I've had, and every hotel that I've worked in, my parents are always so supportive, and my family always come and stay and experience it. But the comment that keeps coming back to, "Oh, well, it's lovely." I'm like, but it's not as lovely as that hotel in Colorado. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But come on.
Oh
So
my
yes,
God.
their expectations are far too high, right?
It's amazing, but you know what an amazing start. So I'm going to ask you something because you are also working for customer experience. I'm a very strong believer of customer experience. I always say you nail your customer experience, it will do its work for you. You know, it's such an important part of the whole business. And to me it feels like luxury is all about nailing the customer experience. So tell me like something that actually got your attention in that establishment that you said, holy shit, this is amazing, and I need to put this in my brain and never forget about it.
I think that's a great question, and you're absolutely right. I think delivering exceptional guest experience, customer experience will, turn your guests into advocates for your business, and it's that virtuous circle. And in fact, there's a really interesting statistic that came out of the Harvard Business School recently that said just a 5% increase in customer retention can lead to an increase in profitability of up to 95%. So, in terms of retaining and building that loyal customer base, it's really, you're going to really see that in your profitability. And I think especially as the hospitality industry are facing such high costs of doing business now with inflationary pressures, that profitability is so integral when we're looking at how best to operate
Mm,
hotels. But yeah, coming back to Colorado, it it was the level of personalization and the efforts that they went to really understand the guests and their motivations for being there, and also what we would call their travel persona. So there could be a guest that stays at that hotel multiple times a year, but perhaps they stay on business at a certain time. They might return with their family, they might return with their extended
mm,
family, and each visit they have a slightly different mindset, they have slightly different goals in order for what they want their experience to look like. And I think in days gone by, we were perhaps guilty of grouping guests into certain segments, let's say,
mm,
whereby they, we would cluster certain behaviors or certain preferences, and actually that treating guests as individuals, but also individuals on each and every trip, and really getting to know them. And that there's some amazing technology around gathering some of those preferences and understanding their motivations for their trip that can be applied. So when that guest is standing in front of the reception team, that they have that prompt that they can make that personal connection, or it can be done in a digital environment whereby you can then, in the lead up to that guest's arrival, you can start to send them really personalized messages that will enhance their stay, and yeah, sort of really integrate the sort of digital guest journey with the actual guest journey once they arrive at the hotel. So I think they did that brilliantly. And I mean, this is going back a few years, so perhaps the digital experience has evolved since then.
okay, that was not expected. So, for those who are listening, of course, this is edited now and you will not hear it. But I got kicked out from the pod where I was recording. So, we had to stop this conversation with Ashleigh. And now, a day later, we're going to pick it back up. So, I know that you've heard this, but the last question was about customer experience and how you nail it. And we talked about personalization and how you get more personal and more um, attentive to personal details. And Ashleigh had just started to talk about this amazing experience in a London based hotel. And Ashleigh, please just get back from the beginning to that London based hotel, and then hopefully the editing will clean it up all and you guys will be hearing a smooth story. Not cut for a day.
Oh, well, it's great to be back in the room with you a day later, Jay. Thank you so much for having me. So yeah, just kind of reflecting back on our conversation yesterday, and we were talking about how to really nail that customer experience. And I think it all comes down to making that emotional connection with the guests and with your customers. And I've been really lucky, and my husband Michael, we've worked in the hospitality industry for over 20 years each, and we've had the great fortune of working with some amazing brands and hotels. But I think one particular example, which we started to talk about yesterday, was a London hotel. It's called the Goring, and it is one of the last independent family run and owned hotels. It's in a beautiful mews in Victoria. And we, ahead of my husband starting to work there when we were still living in London, we were invited to do a mystery stay. So they didn't know that Michael was due to be working there. So it was a little bit of a covert mission. So off we went into London, and as on arrival, the doors swing open, and the doorman with beautiful top hat and tails welcomes you to the Goring, and he took our name at that point. And at no other point throughout the stay had we given anyone our name. However, at every interaction that we had, when we stepped up to check in at the reception desk, when we asked the concierge for some recommendations for dinner, when we went for a glass of fizz in the restaurant, when we went to breakfast the next morning, when we bumped into housekeeping on the corridors, they all knew our names, which it was just incredible to have that level of personalization and personal care. And what I loved about that experience was we just felt a real sense of belonging, and really it just enhanced our stay. And of course, we were seeing it through the lens of Michael soon to be working there. But I think that experience really solidified for us our approach when we're working with our clients to look at that sort of holistic view of your guest experience and how you can personalize that experience for that guest at all points throughout their experience. So I think with digital technologies advancing considerably, and we're all having conversations around AI and the impact of AI, both from an enhancement and a consideration point of view. The guest experience begins so early on in that customer journey. So from that discovery phase, when guests are determining where they'd like to go on holiday, what hotels they would like to stay in, they're really getting an impression of your business at that early stage. And there's about 26 different touch points often that somebody will go through before they decide to click that button to book your hotel. They'll research you on TripAdvisor, they'll maybe go to an online booking channel, and then hopefully the ideal is that you get them through to your website, you get that booking, you get their email address, hopefully some preferences. You can then match that with if they've stayed before. So all of this data is really, really powerful. So when your guest arrives and checks in with you, you understand why the guest is there. Have they stayed with you before? Are they accompanying with a partner, with family? Are they there on business? And you can really tailor your welcome or welcome back and that experience for that guest on that particular visit. And then there's all sorts of post stay engagement that you can then do to nurture that guest to become a loyal continued guest. So I think with Michael's background in this really highly refined guest service, particularly honed at the Goring, and then my skills and experience from working within marketing and communications within the five-star environment in London and overseas, we really wanted to bring together that perspective to offer that real 360-degree view of the guest experience, which can be delivered through marketing communications and your service culture and guest experience strategy. So that's what we set out to do 4 years ago, as I say, with Halo, and we kind of hit the ground running. And I know we touched upon the pandemic, and we launched just before the pandemic. So if I can maybe move on to talking about how we navigated the pandemic in an industry that actually closed its doors, and what we did to really kind of
Oh, that is,
out.
yeah, that is the juiciest bit. But hang on,
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay,
leave it to the
sure.
last question. So yes, this is amazing gold nuggets for any business, because I feel like we tend to forget one thing, which is um, showing care. It's I see this a lot. Either entrepreneurs get bogged down to like the project, the
Yes.
delivering a good project, right? That is that is the basic. Of course, you got to deliver a high quality, service or project or product. I'm not questioning that. However, the saying that says they don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care about them,
Yeah.
it is such a big part of entrepreneurship and growth of any businesses. And what you said is, and I guess what you nailed in Halo is customer experience doesn't start after sales. It
Yes.
starts at the first time they saw your brand. And
Yes.
then you're saying that there are 26 touch points until they decide to work with you.
Exactly.
So
So
that, yeah,
quite the
that shows
journey.
also how important it is anything that touches marketing, PR, and sales. And then after that, the customer experience has to be top notch. Whether you are a copywriter or a designer or interior designer or a luxury hotel or Apple or whatever it is, because that customer becomes your free advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. They become advocates. And I think that, we're so connected now. We carry our mobile computers in our pockets, our smartphones, and we can really easily see the success of a hotel, a restaurant, so easily through the reviews left on social media, looking at other people's experiences. We can really make a judgment on whether we want to invest our time and money into that experience. And I think, we're in a cost of living crisis, and that has absolutely affected the hospitality industry. People are very mindful about that disposable income. However, it does, in terms of looking at statistics, that there definitely seems to be a ring fence of people's budgets, that they, particularly since the pandemic, that they still want to allocate some budget to continuing to have those experiences with friends and family at a restaurant, at a hotel.
Mm.
So when they do ring fence that budget becomes so precious, because they've worked really hard, and we've all got more expensive bills to pay, and our disposable incomes ever being squeezed. So their expectation is higher than ever before, that experience must deliver. So in terms of them doing that research, they really want to ensure that is going to be money well spent. So they'll spend a lot of time researching, look at reviews, look at other people's experiences, and then decide to go ahead and make that booking or reservation. So I think absolutely, as you say, getting that right, and turning your customers into loyal supporters, and they'll tell everyone about how wonderful the experience was, will ultimately help you to continue to be successful, and be attractive to people to want to come and stay with you or eat in your restaurant, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And it is the growth of the business at the end of the day. Okay, I'm going to shift gears. I'm not going to talk business now. I'm going to talk about something that you mentioned at the start, that you took time off for 6 months when you had your third baby
Yeah.
and you were giving birth to your fourth baby, which is Halo. So, tell me more about um, something that is really astonishing, and I have a lot of respect for it. Is how does it feel? What does it look like in your household to have three kids who are quite young,
Yes.
plus a youngish business, and you are both entrepreneurs? How does that feel?
It's been quite a journey, and I think it was something that the motivation for us starting Halo was very much to have a have the ability to support our family, and to have that flexibility, which I think that we craved when we didn't have that opportunity from our careers in London. So it was very much driven out of the desire to have this support around our family, but also to still be connected to an industry that we loved. So we, as I said, yeah, we decided on the name, and we registered our business to Companies House. As I say, my third child was about 3 weeks old, so it was very close succession. And I can recall 3 in the morning up with baby feeding, and in Canva coming up with like a branding document, and core values, and what we would say on our launch press release, and looking at photographers to get headshots, and all of these things, which I think, gosh, that was a bit of a blur. But we were really excited about doing this. And although it felt like quite a risk, obviously, with both of us in the business together, and not having that fallback of one of us having a stable, full-time job just to keep the income coming in, we just thought, let's go all in. We knew that each of us had different skill sets from the industry, and it might be that both of us might not be working completely in tandem at the time. So one of us might need to lead on certain projects depending on what came in, and the other one could be more flexible to do more kind of at home and childcare, and then we could flip it. So we've evolved, and I think because we kind of transition through the pandemic, there was a lot more requirement for marketing and communications as the businesses came out of lockdown to sort of really communicate and get back in touch with their guests. And then I think now we've really transitioned into providing this holistic support, where both Michael and I are working in tandem, both in the business and on the business. So I would say that for my side, I'm probably that little bit more client facing. I'm the chatterbox, and I love having I love the client facing, and Michael does speak to clients, but I think I lead on that. And I think when we look at our personality profiles, I'm very much the driver, and Michael's a little bit more of the analytical and just ensuring that what we're doing is right and taking that time. So actually, we're a really good combination of just getting stuff done, but getting stuff done right. So we're a great team. I think a lot of people, we get asked a lot, what's it like to work with your wife or your husband? And actually, I think, we're partners in life. We're partners in business. We have both come from the industry, so we do understand that it's a 24/7 business. And sometimes, I'll have to maybe jump on a call at 10 p.m. if we're maybe speaking to someone in the States, or we both have to travel a little bit more. And we're really supportive of that, and never question, because we all both understand the industry. So I think we have a lot of empathy, and we really just support each other. And I think whenever we've hit a bit of I don't know, an imposter syndrome situation, or questioning whether something feels right, we've been able to really sit back and discuss it, and come up with something that we're both really happy with and committed to. So that's it's been amazing. But I mean, we do have a young family, as you say. We have we're in half term as we're speaking at the moment, and Michael's downstairs with the kids now. And I've been on many a call. The kids are suddenly charging in and jumping on the bed behind me, and I'm sort of pitching to a CEO of a business. But I think actually, with lockdown and us all being connected through Zoom and things, we did have that window into everyone's personal life at all levels of seniority across industries, and that just made us all a little bit more human. So I think, really the relationships that I've got with our clients are very long standing. Most of our clients have been with us, I would say, at least for 3 years, since pretty much when we started. So they understand that I'm a working parent. As long as I get stuff done and we are productive, they're very open to when that happens, how it happens, and we've built that trusted relationship with them. So it can feel really hectic, and I feel sometimes I'm sat on a call with this real professional veneer sometimes, and behind me is just absolute chaos, and I'm just, but then I just have that hat on, and then I'll run down and put a load of washing on, and do the things that working parents do. So we're very lucky that we've got a supportive family here, and we moved back to the northeast, which is where my family are from. So we've got grandparents, we've got aunts and uncles. So we do have that support network as well, and they're very, very supportive of us in our journey with Halo. So when perhaps Mike and I have both had to travel together for a certain event, we're always very grateful for that family support to help us to progress. So
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's been quite a learning journey, but I think, as I say, we've both come from this industry, and we understand the ups and downs really, and support each other.
so it never spills. So because I'm an entrepreneur, yeah, and my husband is, and we have a small one. We have been entrepreneurs since 2011, 12, um, on different businesses. We have exited businesses, opened another business. It never stops in our house. And we have experienced a few times to work together, and it's a like red no. It is,
Yeah.
it would never, like, we would never be able to work together if we wanted to. We were like, okay, we choose the marriage
Yes, exactly.
to protect, because it would spill. So whatever happened in the marriage, and if I was annoyed by because something, it would spill over the business, and vice versa. So it never spills. You never fight.
Do you know, it sounds really kind of boring. Of course, we I think because of our different styles, I think that was something. And a good friend of mine is a coach, and she, I think when we first started the business and we were getting to know how each other worked, because yeah, as I say, I'm very much the driver, just getting stuff done, just keep progressing, I'm probably guilty of maybe getting to the point of burnout quite quickly, because I just want to get everything done now, go, go, go. And sometimes there was times, I think, when Michael's like, let's just take a moment. I'm like, I haven't got a moment. So I think it was like, let's just make sure we get this right. But then when we have taken that moment and he's gone through and said, actually, how about we approach it in this way? I think, oh yes, he's right. He is right. We did need to take that moment. And I think, yeah, that was very interesting. And my friend who was a coach had said, look, if you look at your personality profiles, you are clearly a red, Ash, with, maybe a little bit of yellow and that kind of personable. And Mike's definitely more on the sort of analytical, and because he's worked in that operations where he has to really pinpoint that what's maybe a bottleneck in a process that's leading to something at the hotel that's not working, and doing these sort of deep dive, sort of Six Sigma style projects. So he's very tuned into being more analytical. In my mind, is just, oh, you just work slower than I do. When actually he's like, yeah, you just go a million miles an hour, and we need to make sure that this is right, rather than you just go, go, go. So I think there was definitely that understanding and appreciation of each other's styles, and how we could actually make that work to our benefit. So I think we have that really good combination now, and have got into our flow of, I think I probably really lead on what our workflows look like in terms of our client delivery outputs, and then also what we need to do in our on our business to really propel it forward. And we've moved to moving like a Trello board, for example, that we look at visually, and that is a really good way, instead of me being the nag. Sorry, dear, have you done that yet? The deadline's not until tomorrow, dear. Oh, okay. Oh, see the Trello board. Oh, thank you. So so technology has become our friend. So we actually got a virtual assistant who was much better equipped at just moving our to-do lists onto Trello, and we can have a quick stand up. We'll drop the kids off in the morning, if I'm working here and not away, we'll have a quick kind of 10-minute stand up, as you would, I suppose, in a business, looking at what needs to happen that day, any challenges, what needs to happen by the end of the week, and then any big picture things. And yeah, so we've definitely moved to being better at managing our time, and therefore I think been really understanding about priorities. But yeah, it was a definite learning curve of each of us kind of not understanding the way each other worked and why. But we've definitely overcome that, I think, now.
That's amazing. And do you think that overcoming that, so the collaboration in the business, did it impact positively your marriage relationship or
Yeah,
not?
yeah, no, definitely. And I think some of that organization that we do in our business also helps to organize with our three kids as well. So actually, um, yeah, I feel like personally, I focus on being so organized in my professional life, and sometimes, getting kids to parties on time, or making sure I've handed in the slip for the school parents' evening to get a time allocated. Sometimes I've been known to maybe not get that done. So, Michael's really good at picking up on that side of things, which I'm just really, yeah, I think I focus so much on the halo to dos, and sometimes on those, just the life admin of having three kids and them all going to different clubs and parties, etc. So, yeah, I think we really value each other's support and picking stuff up, and at the end of the day, if we we just laugh about it. If something happens, we just have to laugh about it. But I think, yeah, we've always been, and I don't know what the secret sauce is, but we've always been able to make that separation, I think, between what happens with Halo and then what happens in at home life. And of course there will be, we'll be having dinner and suddenly I'll think, oh, did we send that invoice to that client? um and it'll kind of ruin the vibe of the family dinner or something. So we've really tried to make sure that we have that separation, and that we also have some time for us as well. So it's our 10th wedding anniversary coming up soon.
Ah,
So
congratulations.
thank you. So we've made a plan that we'll just have some time away, just for the night, but have a nice dinner, go for a nice walk, and just have some time for us as a married couple, rather than it being accelerating our business, or being parents for the day. So just having that sort of separate time. But yeah, we wear many hats, so I think it's sometimes hard to shift in between.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I'm quite in awe of what you have achieved with Halo, despite the fact that you have three kids and you had your last one like really close to launching Halo. So those are like, it shows that you have done a lot of things right. But if from that perspective, and then I'm going to come to COVID, but before talking about COVID, from the perspective of having a busy family and having a growing business with your partner, and probably you are always like together, what would be like, what is the kind of, you think, oh, you know what, this is the key of us making it happen?
I think so. Yeah, there's definitely, we spend a huge amount of time together, and even more so, obviously, in lockdown. I think for us, it was just being as organized as we could in terms of having a plan, and sticking to the plan as best we could. So we would see where we needed to get to, set some goals, and really work back from there, and break it down to, okay, well, what do we need to do today, this week, this month, to get us towards this goal? And it was never perfect, and we learned a lot along the way. And in the last year, we've actually been on an entrepreneur accelerator program, which is all through NatWest Business. And that has provided us with such an amazing structure for how we envisage growing and scaling our business, what needs to happen, being accountable to our business coach and our fellow entrepreneurs that we are in this community with, to drive our business forward. And I think that has also helped to validate some of the decisions that we've made, but also has helped to identify, maybe our approach or our attitudes, could have been different. And I think, yeah, having that objective and professional view of our business, about what we've done well, but what we could do better. And I think that the biggest takeaway for me from that was, I think we were so busy saying yes to so many things, and we probably didn't niche into hospitality straight away, because we wanted to be flexible and to be, to work across different businesses, and the skills that you acquire working in hospitality are really transferable. And we started to work with some businesses that were quite away from hospitality, and I think that really stretched us, and stretched our capacity as well. And I think we really realized quite quickly that actually that wasn't the right decision for our business, and we had to be better at really looking at, okay, who is our ideal client, and really saying, no, we are going to work in the hospitality sector. It's a huge sector. There's plenty of work for everyone. Let's really specialize in this, and this is where our skill sets are. But I think we took quite a while to maybe get to that point, because we just didn't want to maybe exclude any opportunity. But I think we in hindsight would have been better to have niched a lot earlier, and been in an industry that we both know. But I think, yeah, that was a great learning curve for us, and now we are very confident to say, yeah, we service the hospitality sector.
Fabulous. Yeah. So, okay, key takeaways. I'm hearing planning, external help
Yes,
coaching and guidance, and also niching.
definitely. Yeah.
Fab. Those are like, all the time I keep saying that. So it is aligned. Amazing. So let's talk a tiny bit about COVID, because the trauma is still there, right? And people are still talking about it. So you had quit your jobs,
Yes.
you had a baby, you had just incorporated your business, and COVID happened. Did you have any clients at that
We
moment?
did. We had an active client project, a really lovely rebranding project, which was taking me to London every week, in fact, to spend some time in their head office. So that was probably about 2 months' worth of work. And we had a few other things in the pipeline, following on from some freelance projects that we'd done in between having our two children, that we were sort of keeping warm. But we'd had, so we, as you said, launched 2019. We had some wonderful support from our connections in the industry, and lots of people getting in touch saying, hey, this is great, let's keep in touch. I'm sure there'll be opportunities for us to work together. And yeah, we secured a really lovely client, which I'm delighted to say we're still doing some work with now, and that relationship has continued to evolve. But we were thinking, great, we're up and running. We had lots of positive conversations. And then it was really strange. So I was going up and down to London. So we're based in the northeast of England. And every week I would go down to London from sort of January through to early February. We were hearing whispers, which turned into like, this, something serious is coming, this is happening. And I'd come back up to the northeast in Newcastle, and everyone was just like oblivious to what was kind of coming. And we were all in coffee shops and still chatting, and sharing a water bottle around between people. And I'm kind of like, no, I think there's something like really bad that's coming. And I almost felt like the news didn't reach Newcastle until a good couple of weeks after London. And I think we could see in the business on the books for the hotel group that we were working with was just starting to wash with people, particularly coming from China and from Southeast Asia. And then we started to see that decline. And then, of course, there was the news that the first person in the UK had identified that they had COVID. So again, I think it was played down as a, oh, it won't happen to us kind of situation. But I think, yeah, being in an active project, I could really see firsthand of the potential impact that this was going to have on the industry. But we continued working with them until early March. And then the news came that everyone was just shutting their doors. And with that, our contract sadly had to come to an end. So pretty much overnight, we went from having some income to having nothing. We were such a young business, we didn't qualify at that stage for any furlough. My maternity pay had all finished. So we were like, okay, this is pretty serious. Got a mortgage to pay, we've got 3 kids. And we just didn't want to give up. We wanted to see how we could find a way of still contributing to the industry and being connected. And hopefully when things started to recover, we were in a position that we could start working with hotels and restaurants and things again. And it was a lovely kind of chance phone call. I picked up with a wonderful branding agency who I'd worked with previously when I was in Scotland. In fact, they were our branding agency, so I was the client of this business, and just had a chat about, hey, like how are things going with your business? You work with a lot of hotels. Have your contracts come to a close? What are you kind of thinking of doing? Wait, we've lost all of our business overnight. And we started to have a conversation around, wouldn't it be a great opportunity while everyone's now stuck at home, hotel doors are closed, people are trying to make sense of what's happening, to bring together a community of people within the industry to have some virtual networking and roundtable events. So we sort of very quickly came up with this name, and he's amazing at branding. So all of a sudden we had this amazing sort of set of assets that we could go out and start publishing it, and we recorded a video to launch it. So we called this event series the Sweet Series, leading from lockdown. And we basically invited all of our friends in the industry, from the director of sales and marketing at the Balmoral Hotel to Mandarin Oriental. We had the director of marketing at the Savoy. We were calling in favors left, right and centre from anyone we'd ever worked with over sort of 10, 20 years. And we, over the first wave of lockdown, we had a weekly series of about maybe 4 to 6 guests from all different parts of the industry within hospitality and travel, and from all around the world. And really, it was just about them sharing their experiences. Some of the hotels had remained open and were providing services to key workers. Some had closed completely and had to furlough all of their staff. Some were kind of a bit of a hybrid, were still not quite sure how they were navigating. And whilst potentially a lot of those hotels in an ordinary environment might have been competitors, actually we all became real collaborators and real sort of supporters of each other, and providing that moral support of what everyone was going through. So we did those series, we put them out on YouTube, and then we distilled all of the insights into a white paper and shared that amongst everyone that had attended and some of our other industry connections. And as a result of that, we secured 3 clients that we had, been in discussions with, but I really felt that they had got a lot from those roundtables, and they could see the value that we could bring. And as soon as they were in a position from a budget perspective or their hotels reopening, they said, Halo, we want to work with you. And we're still working with them as of today. So that was just a really great way, I think, of us being connected. I feel like I would have, I just needed to kind of keep going. I wasn't ready to give up on our baby. So
You were so right, and that was it. I was in the same situation. We had launched 5th of March,
oh,
and
wow.
the lockdown was 23rd or
Oh, my
22nd, I
goodness.
can't remember. And we did exactly the same thing. We ran every week. I ran workshops for how do you keep, above your head above the water during lockdown. How do and it was all about visibility. It was all
Yeah.
about bringing value, not stopping being visible, increasing your visibility, so that when things went back to normal, people remembered you, and that was how actually we were able to build a community. I mean, I was like, everything in my business from admin perspective, I was doing service swaps
Wow.
because I
Yeah.
had no money,
Yeah,
and
of
no one had
course.
no money, but
Yeah.
we had time, so we
Yeah.
were doing service swaps all the time. Like,
Fantastic.
someone made did my website and I coached them, and it was like,
Brilliant.
and that's how also we build the community that
Exactly.
we have now. So I totally agree with you. What a great example of how a completely young business, early stage startup, could survive and then thrive right after the COVID. And I'm gonna say thrive because from what I know, the business is starting to thrive. Right? It is. You're on a roll. Everything is going much better, and you have won a lot of awards. So I just want, like, had I not done this, it wouldn't work kind of answer. This is the one thing that we have done that we know impacted our growth.
So I think it was probably that exact example around building a community, and I think we we always try to offer value and deliver value. And also, I think now that our business has grown year on year, we're also in a position that we can give back with our time. So I do voluntary work for Sheffield Hallam University as an entrepreneur in residence and deliver guest lectures. I'm also part of the Girls Network to mentor girls from more sort of disadvantaged communities, to really help them through those teenage years. So for me, I suppose the one thing that's helped us grow, I think, has been a long term focus on building a community, and whether that is through our own networks and providing this sweet series, whether that's doing work within the community, within the next generation of professionals coming up through university and the work that we do there, the Girls Network, and empowering young women to be successful. For me, it's all been about being community focused, value led, and wanting to ultimately do good.
Mm.
And I feel like that attitude has just continued to as a byproduct of our business has grown, because I think people can align with us and our values, and they want us to be part of their community and vice versa. So I think we've always, been very values driven, and attracted people to work with us as collaborators, clients. We all share very similar values, and I think that has helped to build a resilient community and a resilient pipeline of work that has allowed our business to grow year on year.
That is, again, I love what you're saying. Thank you so much. It is, you focused on giving care
Yeah.
and connecting, and that is probably, like, I always say that. I don't know what's your point of view on that, but whenever I am in front of a entrepreneur who's new to entrepreneurship, or they have the best idea, of course,
Of course.
and they know how to do it, and all they are lacking is the website and the followers on Instagram. And I always say, really, I mean, like, for Instagram to work, you got to put a lot of years, efforts, etc in it. But actually, saying hi to people work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so true. And I love that you come back to this word care, and being caring, and hospitality is absolutely that is hospitality, right? It's care and care for people. So yeah, I also completely agree. I think that having your followers are on Instagram or whatever social platform you're on, great, but it's having those meaningful connections. That's what is going to propel you forward and build a resilient business going forwards, in my opinion.
I do believe that as well. Well, Ashleigh, this was an amazing second time chat.
It's great to recap.
We're coming towards the end, and I don't know if you've heard about this specific question of mine. So I asked this to all my guests because the name of this podcast is She's Awesome, and the purpose of it is that I give a platform to women who are awesome to own their awesomeness. So the next question is, Ashleigh, why are you awesome?
Oh my gosh. So we've talked quite a bit about family and how they're so integrated into our business and the motivation for creating our business. And my daughter is actually named after a famous suffragette, which was all about female empowerment. But one of their mottos is deeds, not words. And I really live my life by just get it done. Great to have the ideas, great to talk about it, but let's just get it done. So just, yeah, action orientated, have the ideas, but follow through and actually just get it done. So yeah, deeds, not words is my kind of pillar that I live my life by in many ways. So I feel like, yeah, I hopefully that is kind of something that makes me awesome, that I feel like women have been empowered to do since suffragette days, which has a personal connection for me with my daughter's name. So yeah.
Well, that you are awesome, and
Oh,
that is a great motto for being awesome as well. Thank you so much for
thank you.
coming, sharing your amazing, really inspiring story with a beautiful smile. I really loved our discussion, and I know that our listeners will love it as well. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Jay. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, not once, but twice, and very grateful for being here today on She Is Awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you.